So the UK general election happened. I had a soup for this Soup with Nerd³, but I finished it because I was putting lots of information around the place. Yes, the UK general election has happened. The Conservatives, the Tories, the right-wing lot got in with a majority, so they are really strong in government. It was amazing seeing just how quickly they started breaking promises. We all know politicians' lies. I think they set a record, because normally they wait a few days before they start lying through their teeth. But this time, they lied before the full results were even in, when the results sort of looked like they were going the Conservatives' way. Theresa May announced that they're reenacting the Snoopers Charter, which is very much a NSA-like surveillance of UK citizens. Which, incidentally, the day before the election was ruled illegal in America. The NSA spying was ruled illegal. We're now going for it in Britain. And on the Conservative Manifesto, page 61, at the same time, we continue to reject any suggestions of sweeping authoritarian measures that would threaten our hard-won freedoms. So they broke that before they'd even been elected. That's a new world record in lying. I'm not best pleased. I want to talk about a lot of stuff today. Not much for happy. If you know me at all, you know I don't like the Conservatives. I don't like right-wing policies, because right-wing policies are for the rich people. It's very simple. Right-wing policies are, fucking do it on your own. And left-wing policies are, let's help the people who need help. And I'm much more left-wing. Under a right-wing government, financially, I'm better off. But under a left-wing government, financially, people who need the help financially are better off. And that's the way it should be. That's the point of government. It's to help the people who need the help. I've been those people who need the help before. I know what it's like to need that help. And now I don't need that help. So I'm still happy to vote to get those people up, because I know how vital that help was. If you increase my tax a little bit, I'll be like, fine. Fine. I don't care. I've got enough. But the people who don't have enough, they're the people you want helping. That's my political views in a nutshell. The Tories have a lot of problems. Like, I didn't want to get too... when I was saying, go vote, I really wanted to stay away from actually saying who I was voting for, because I didn't really know until, like, the last few moments before I went and got voted on. Voted. That's the way around that goes. I ended up voting Labour, not because I particularly wanted to, but because, what I did was I looked at the MPs in my area and what they've done and what they stood for, and the Labour MP in my area was one of the real main oppositions to the war in Syria, and I liked that, and I was like, fantastic, you are the best candidate here, you get my vote. Didn't really believe in Ed Miliband, don't really like all of Labour's policies, hate many of them, but I went for that MP because that's what you do, you vote for the MP, not the party, and I thought he was the better MP. But, man, there's just... when I was doing this, like, hey, vote. I didn't want to say any of this, but now there's a few policies that I'm going to get a little bit more involved to fight these and spread the word of things that need to be fought, I think is what I'm going to do. Because stuff like this Snoopers Charter, which is spying, fucking mass surveillance, fucking 1984 is here, that needs to be known that that's happening, and we need to write letters, and we need to send letters to your MPs, and we need to oppose that as hard as possible. And even if you voted Conservative, I don't think you want to be spied on. And as soon as I started talking about this on Twitter, you get the fucking morons who come across and go, well, if you've got nothing to hide, then you've got nothing to fear. Really? Why do you own curtains then? Why do you have doors to any of your rooms? Why don't you have CCTV publicly accessible? In fact, not public accessible. If you had government CCTV just sitting in the corner of your room, you might not be looked upon, but you might be. Everybody likes privacy. Privacy's a thing. I cannot poop if there's not a lock on the bathroom door. Everybody likes privacy. Privacy is a very important thing. Saying, oh, if you have nothing to hide, is bollocks unless you're constantly tweeting every little tiny information, piece of detail, all the conversations you have, your bank details, your fucking dick pics, everything. If you're putting everything out there, feel free to say it. But if you still wear fucking clothes, you have something to hide. That's the most moronic argument. In fact, do you know all the laws? This is everybody goes, oh, you have none to hide. Do you really know what laws? Because there are fucking thousands of laws that you probably don't even know are laws that are so minor, but you could get fucked over them. If the government goes, hey, he's making a lot of noise, what does he do? Oh, he's mixing 2 skill flavors together, that's illegal. You never fucking know what is illegal. So unless you know all the laws and publicly want to display your entire life, unless you're some sort of lawyer exhibitionist, unless you're James Spader, you, from Boston Legal, you have something to hide. Because you don't know when you're breaking laws. Because you don't know all the laws. No fucker knows all the laws. So that argument is bullshit. And if you use that against me, I will tell you to shut the fuck up. Because you should shut the fuck up. So I think I'm gonna have to... I don't want to put any stuff on the main channel apart from there's 2 things. And one is saying, hey, this is important. And because I know this government's going to try and fuck with the internet. This is the government that bans certain types of pornography, put on child filters that are fucking terrifying. They're very Orwellian in some of their things. So there's stuff, and I will try and stick to the stuff that is relevant to internet users. I will stick to that stuff. When they try and cut benefits to the under 20, everybody under 25 just doesn't get benefits anymore, I will fight that somewhere else. But the internet stuff, I'm going to bring to the main channel. I'm going to go, look, seriously, write to your MPs. This is fucking important. The Snoopers Charter stuff. The other one is the EU. I know not entirely stuck with it, but the EU is so goddamn important. And I've seen a pattern emerging, if you will, with the EU and the things they're trying to get rid of. And I will talk to you after this slight jump cut, because can I record a short amount of time with this camera? Jump cut. So, no idea. This government hates the EU. And most big governments kind of don't like the EU. They're going to hold a referendum, which is they get the people to vote. The people will go out in their droves and vote if we stay in the EU or not. They will run a lot of fear campaigns about why we should leave the EU. I'm going to probably try and run something opposing that. I want to stay in the EU, because what the EU does is the EU sets baselines. The EU says you can't have a minimum wage lower than this. And all governments in the EU have to abide by that, which is great because it takes that little bit of fuckery away from the government. It sets a baseline dignity level for people, and that's great. And when people say it costs bajillions, we get nothing out of it. No, it stops the government fucking us over. That's fine. Let's stay. Because people go, what does it really do? It does loads of stuff. One of the big things it does is the Human Rights Act. Now, this is going to sound worse than it actually is. It's pretty bad. But the Conservatives want to scrap the Human Rights Act. That doesn't mean the Conservatives hate human rights. They're going to replace it with a British Bill of Rights. But there's nothing really bad in the Human Rights Act. There's nothing, evil. There's no point in scrapping it. Except for one bit, and I will point out to you. I'm actually going to read now every single thing contained in the Human Rights Act. It's not a huge amount. It's summarised. It's just the basic rights that you, as a citizen of the EU, get via the Human Rights Act. So you get these. The right to life. Right not to be tortured or treated in an inhuman or degrading way. Right to be free from slavery or forced labour. Right to liberty. Right to a fair trial. Right not to be punished for something which wasn't against the law. Right to, and this is the one that I think they're going to change, right to respect for private and family life, home and correspondence. Private correspondence. I don't think that one's going to make it over to the British Bill of Rights. I'll keep reading. Right to freedom of thought. That one might not. Conscience and religion. Right to freedom of expression. Right to freedom of assembly and association. That one also might get chopped off. They're not really fan of protest. There's you can only protest at certain times and stuff. Right to marry and found a family. Right not to be... Oh, maybe they hate that one as well. We'll get to that later. Actually, no, we'll get to that one now. The Minister for Equalities and Women was just in the new government is, and the name's written down there, Nicky Morgan. Okay? This is the Minister for Equalities, Nicky Morgan, voted against gay marriage. Equality. That's the current government. That's what the, and now she's Education Secretary or something, but she's also this thing, and she, Education Secretary, why is she said, why should you be the Education Secretary? Because she has children and they go to school and she has friends who are teachers. It's like saying, I'm not racist because I have black friends, while shouting racist things. Anyway, that just fucking terrifies me. Right, not to be discriminated against any religion or any of the rights contained in the European Convention. Rights to peaceful employment, rights to peaceful enjoyment of possessions. Right to education. Right to free elections. And abolition of the death penalty. So they're all good things. That is an act. None of that seems like something I'd want to get rid of, apart from the right to the correspondence, which goes back to that Snoopers Charter thing, which is the spying and the listing and the stopping terrorism, but also being in and listening and very creepy 1984 thought control. There's nothing in that bill you'd really want to get rid of in this Human Rights Act, and replacing it with the British Bill of Rights, I can just say, oh no, we forgot the privacy thing. So that's scummy, and I see that causing issues and trying to scrap that being an absolutely horrific thing. Side note, a lot of people constantly were going, why are you voting in this election? You don't live in the UK. I'm a British citizen. I'm allowed to. For 15 years, I believe. The next 3 general elections, I'm allowed to vote because I still pay my tax over there. I own a company over there still. So, yes, that's why I just voted by posty proxy thing. Proxy post. But there was a lot of stuff with the fuckery with the post votes. Anyway, Human Rights Act, Snoopers Charter. This all seems to be tying together into a 1984 nightmare, and I can't really find anything against it. Like, I was gonna bring the point up, like, they're really going for this horrible 1984 government spying V for Vendetta sort of thing. And I was like, but to make this fair, I'll look up things they're doing to fight that sort of thing. I couldn't fucking find anything! This government thinks 1984 is a fucking instruction manual, and everything they seem to be doing seems to be pointing towards that. So they want to get out of the EU so they can break this Human Rights Act, so they can do their own British Bill of Rights, which means they can turn on the we can spy on you thing, and then they'll spy on you. And they don't, like, but also there's the power thing. They like being able to be in full control. They don't want to have the EU say, no, not this. And a lot of people say, oh, but the EU isn't elected. Yeah, neither's the House of Lords. Fuck you. We're already governed by things that aren't elected. Laws have to go through just people who are old and rich. That's all they have going for them. We're old, rich people. Fuck you all. Yeah, so... Did you see... Actually, I got this. Hang on, let me click around a little. Let me open this thing up. This one. The seats won in the election. I've actually... Graphs somewhere on the screen now. I'll lean over so I can put them in here neatly. So we have this system called first past the post, where when you vote, you don't vote. The UK is broken down into 650 little areas, and then whoever wins that area goes through. So it's not a 1 vote equals 1 vote for this guy. It's 1 vote equals 1 guy for this area. So you do a lot of tactical voting and stuff like that. But I had to look at the seats. And these graphs, someone sent me these graphs on Twitter. I don't know where they come from, but I have checked and they are accurate. This top one here is the seats won in the election. So this is how many seats they won. So how many areas that they won, and the Conservatives there. So it's Conservatives, Labour, UKIP, the racist party, Liberal Democrats, and I will keep calling them the racist party, SNP, Scottish Nationals, great. Oh, Scotland, by the way, fucking fantastic. Turnout in 70 and 80%, where England was in the 50s and 60s. You fucking fought hard, and I'm fucking proud of you, Scotland. Getting the SNP in was superb, well done, chuffed. I'm going to chill on that in a little bit, but fucking brilliant. And then the Greens with their one little seat there, so that's the Green Party. We care about stuff. Although I don't want to vote for the Greens because they really hate nuclear power, and I'm quite a fan of nuclear power because it's pretty cool. But anyway, this second one is the seats in a more one person, one vote sort of thing. And can you see the fucking differences here? The first one is UKIP. Now, I established this earlier, sorry about the cough, by calling them the racist party, but I can't fucking stand UKIP. But that many people voted for UKIP, so they deserve the right to be represented. I hate them, but that's democracy. What we have right now isn't a democracy, because look at the difference between these two, which I realise they've panned over slightly. But I don't know where they're going, this is the magic of editing. But just look at the difference. They get 1 seat out of 650 with the current system, and 82 in the system where, they actually get represented. Represented? Yes, represented. Greens do it as well, 1 to 24. SNP do a little worse with the actual percentage of votes that they got. That's a little bit sad considering they took over all but 3 places in Scotland. But that's just the things, and Lib Dems do way better because loads of people did vote for them, even though they got shat on in all their areas. So this one down here is a much fairer government, a much more democratic government, and this top one is the bullshit we have right now. And we had a referendum for the alternative... I've run out of time again, little things flashing. Fuck you! Wah! So, we had a referendum, we had a thing for the alternative vote, and the 2 main parties, Conservatives and Labour, put out huge things going, don't vote, don't do this, it's bad, it's bad, it's bad. And the reason quite here is simple. The reason they didn't want that is simple, because look how much they catastrophically dominate in the current party system. We have all these lovely parties, and they just get fuck all. They don't work. We don't have a proper democracy in the UK. Under a one-vote system, it wasn't for a one-vote system, it was for the alternate vote where you put 1, 2, 3, and they were like, oh, it's so confusing. All these fucking scare campaigns, and they did shitty adverts, and anybody involved with those, just fuck off. They lied and they scaremonger because they want their power and they want to keep their power. If we have a fair vote system, they drop out. And the problem is that the only way to get a fair vote system is to put it into law, and the people who can put it into law are the people in power, and the people in power want to stay in power. I don't know how to fix this without everybody coming together to vote for somebody else just to sort it out. Scotland did it well this year, SNP. But they don't get anywhere near a majority. And get anywhere near, because they couldn't. They're just the Scottish lot. We have to do something about this. Because the top graph is what happened. And it's 3 parties there, and then just fuck all else, really. And the bottom one is what was actually voted for. And that's the UK being represented by their government. The top one isn't. But the top one is run by the 2 twats in the top, the 2 giant parties. So they're never going to change it. Maybe legal action. I've actually genuinely had to think about this, and maybe, just maybe, we could sue the UK government for not being a democracy. I'm going to look into this. I doubt I'll ever be able to do anything with it because it's going to be massively expensive to do. And it's sort of thing that may get thrown out immediately, but that's the only way, really, of doing anything. Because it's either that or relying on everybody to vote for a little party to get through. No one's going to do that because they don't want to get the other bad guys. Because it's a 2-party system with other people. That's what we have. It's 2-party and then there's the others. And you want to vote for the others, but you have to vote for one or 2 just to counteract the people who are also voting for one of the other 2. It's a broken system. It's not really a democracy. You don't get represented. But how do we fix it? Because we've got to fix it. Especially this election. This election has been a huge, huge kick to a lot of people. And they have seen this. And maybe now is the time we can do something about this. And say, you know what? Let's fucking fix this shit. Let's just give everyone the proper vote. And people go, oh, you can't do that because then you get hung parliaments. Fantastic, because that's what people actually fucking want. A country isn't just one. I mean, because all the people in the UK, 24% of the country voted for Conservatives, and that's a majority. That's 37% of the people who voted. That's like a third. But if you had this other system, you'd actually have a lot more, and they'd have to build up many things to get it. You'd have 50%. You'd have, half the country's wants running it, instead of a tiny percentage of people who own yachts or something, apparently. Anyway, that was very long. And quite boring. But that's everything I want to say, I think. Yes. I don't know what I'm going to do. There's nothing to do about that for the moment. Unless Richard Branson wants to sue the government on my behalf. Fantastic, great. On everyone's behalf. Get a proper vote in. And yeah, UKIP, the racist lot, will get loads of seats. And I know that. But if you say, oh, we have to keep the system so UKIP don't get in, then that's just what the people at the top are currently saying. But about themselves. We have to keep everybody out, we'll keep the system. If you want a democracy, sometimes shitty people have to be in because that's what people want. Representation is what I want for everybody. It's important. Yes, that's the thing I don't know. The EU stuff, when it comes near the referendum, I will probably do a few videos on going, hey, this is why the EU is brilliant and why everything they're saying in their adverts is bullshit. And every time they put out an advert, I will rip it apart as best I can. In a funny way, but also in an informative way. I really want to stay in the EU because I see that as the breakdown to the getting in the bullshit. And I don't think that the NSA was a good idea, the NSA spying, because it was just proved illegal, so putting in the UK is a bad thing. Very rambly, this video. Very rambly. But yeah, that's the thing. Oh, fuck, we're doomed, aren't we? Well, let's try and fight it a bit, anyway. Best we can. 5 years.